Omarion, breezy. Yo, chick. What's it on that beat? Yo. If your chick come close to me, she ain't going home when she supposed to be. I'm getting money like I'm supposed to be. I'm getting money like I'm supposed to be.
At this very moment, you're listening to Omarion's latest, Post to Be, featuring Chris Brown and Jhene Aiko. Try it, it's just so darn fun to say, even though it is both grammatically and phonetically incorrect. We ask that you take comfort right now in knowing that this is where you're supposed to be. Welcome to another edition of Audible Approach. This week, do streaming sites have our musical preferences down to a science? What unlikely rap ballad has raced its way up to number 1 on the charts? And Sia shoots back with Elastic Heart. Let's jump right into the conversation, shall we?
Part of what I thought would be funny to talk about in this podcast is just getting old. Because I feel like there's a lot of people who are our age that can absolutely identify, because you're I don't know if you feel like you're past that hump, but I'm in the middle of that transition right now where I'm like,
let's not date us. We can safely say that we have 60 years of life experience between us.
Yeah, so this is your way of trying to be young again. I like that. Yeah, just split it right down the center.
Find the median.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it's close enough. I mean, we're the same age, but you know, I find myself doing things like buying lawn care packages, and I'm just like, what in the hell is going on with me? Like, I just spent $300 so that I could have lawn care. You know, like that's gear money. That's that's casino club hopping money. Like, what am I doing? That's clothing money. But no, I'm spending $300 so that somebody can come and put fertilizer on my lawn once a month throughout the and that's just weird to me.
Yeah,
and that was part of what I wanted to talk about in this podcast too, but
growing old is a very vast subject.
No, I mean just like the interesting transitions that we go through as we get older. I think it's kind of cool to identify. I'm sure that people would.
Well, I mean,
relate.
Kind of relating back to music. I was just reading a study yesterday that said that there is a definite age. I think it was a study that was put out by Spotify, if I'm not mistaken, that said that at the age of 42, they can definitely say that people revert back to listening to popular music. And I thought that was kind of interesting that, up to that point, we are kind of set in our ways with our music. We don't really deviate from the genres that we listen to. And then all of a sudden, at 42, they have found that we start listening to top 40 radio. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, top 40 is so easily accessible. That's the difference. You can put on several radio stations within your FM band and find top 40. And it's the stuff that's weird and different that's not, right?
But are you listening to that stuff now is what I'm kind of saying. Are you right now, in your current stage of life, are you listening to what you were listening to when you first started following music as a fan? Or are you picking up new music and new artists as you go?
I mean, it's a bit of both. It depends on what comes to me and what I find. It's the pathways. I do listen to some top 40, and I do listen to some stuff that's not really top 40. I wouldn't say that it's any sort of underground stuff. I don't consider any of what I listen to be underground, to be honest. But
no,
I like as of lately. Like I told you this before. Like I really love Sia. Like I can't get enough of her music.
Yeah, I can't go around with that. Absolutely, that's a great find.
Yeah, the more and more I listen to her stuff, the more I'm just like blown away by her.
And that's the thing. I really feel like I definitely miss living in closer proximity to you, because I don't think you I know you're a big fan of music, but I don't think you probably invest into the research and the background of an artist as much as possibly I do. It's kind of been nice to explore her as an artist and as her as a songwriter. She has written for Jennifer Lopez. She was on the Annie soundtrack. She has a couple of collaborations with Eminem, and those kind of R&B hip hop collaborations. And that's just a great example of we can like the same artist but not be exposed to the same music.
You know, it's funny because I knew that she wrote that Rihanna song Diamonds, and it's weird because when I first heard Sia, I thought, man, this girl sounds a lot like Rihanna. Like, she sounds a lot like her. But the more I started listening to, because when I heard Chandelier, we were driving to Toronto, and Andrea put on the song, and she's like, hey, have you heard this song? Listen to
Best
this
song of 2014, maybe
Chandelier,
maybe of the decade. It's gonna be a hard one to top.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because I think that Chandelier is, and are you saying that from a single standpoint or from like overall?
I'm saying cross genre.
Yeah, and I mean, I do like the song. I listened to it several times, over and over again when I first discovered it. But then when I found the album and started listening to that, it just was like, it was one of those situations where I just listened to like every song just floored me because her vocals are so good. I really like Elastic Heart, even though it's people freak out about that video being so weird, and it is what it is. But I actually think that the song's very clever and very genius, and this is coming from a musical standpoint.
Absolutely, the content and the
just the way it's put together.
The way it's put together, the theme.
I don't know. I think that her music is just so great, and the cool thing about her is like, I guess some could say that she is kind of underground, because I mean it's just not a household name yet. Still, when you say Sia, not many people recognize the name. They might recognize the songs if they hear it, but and that being said, I mean she is huge. Like they're making fun of her on Saturday Night Live now, right? So she's big, but she's still not that household name. But I mean, getting into probably a topic that's like something to talk about with another podcast, but I feel like artists nowadays, because of how OCD everyone is, or not OCD, ADD.
Yeah, really,
how ADD everyone is. I feel like the shelf life of an artist is just so short, because there's just so much access to music with the internet, so much coming out, that new musicians just don't have the ability to have really long-term careers like they did years ago. I feel like with somebody like her, I don't see her lasting very long on the top 40.
Right.
And I hope that, and I think that's a really tough thing for an artist because she's been doing it for a long time.
She just released a 10th anniversary edition of her first album, so she's been doing it for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even kind of planned, and which is kind of the best kind of release is the organic release.
From what I understand, she had struggles with drugs and alcohol and suicidal tendencies and things like that.
And you see that playing out in the music.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know for sure the details behind that. I've just sort of heard that, and that's the thing that also scares me about an artist specifically like her, is knowing that she has struggled with that. What's it going to be like when things simmer down? That's a really tough thing to deal with emotionally and to see. Like, she's done very well with this album and these songs, but what happens if the next one doesn't? Does she become the next Whitney Houston?
She hasn't really been comfortable with the fame, and she's not really aiming for the fame. I think she's just aiming to be heard.
That's what they say.
No, and I think
that's all part of the marketing.
That's for many people. Yes, I absolutely agree. But for some people, it is really, really genuine. Now, her stepping into the limelight but hiding her face at the same time, that's a gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's
a gimmick.
I feel like...
Let's be real.
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean,
it gets people talking about it.
It does, and the reality is anybody could go and type her name into Google and see what she looks like.
Yes.
Because she's had enough video promo through the years.
Exactly.
And, the one thing I will say is that it also makes you wonder, is she doing this out of some sort of insecurity about her looks as she gets older?
It's possible. I think it could be part and parcel because of that.
Yeah.
But I do think it does go hand in hand with how do you market yourself? How do you be different? Okay, appear on stage but hide your face, or have a dancer, an 11-year-old dancer, appear in all your videos.
Yeah.
All right, and you can say that, well, that is the face of all her listeners. So I get that.
Yeah, it is a really interesting marketing.
Right,
tactic.
You're always looking to be different.
Yeah, she's calculated,
It's
and
calculated.
actually, it has worked for her, because I will say that. I mean, that dancer,
Because
that girl is very talented.
Yeah,
like,
and she
she's
wasn't
a
known 10
prodigy.
years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, like she's a prodigy, and I feel like a lot of Sia's success, unfortunately, does have to do with her.
Yes.
In that video.
Yes.
That being said, I do recognize that she's incredibly gifted as a singer. Like, she's got an incredible voice and an incredible ear for music, because she's writing all that stuff. Like, she's talented. There's no doubt about it.
Right, and that's I look forward to introducing you to a lot of her catalog.
Who, Sia's?
Yeah, later.
What, like the earlier stuff?
No, not even the
Oh,
earlier
just some
stuff.
of the
I do
stuff
have
that's
some of the
not
earlier
okay.
stuff, but
Yeah.
the Eminems and the Jennifer Lopez collaboration.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just saying, it's funny that we're talking about this, because literally last night, Andrea and I were coming back from eating sushi, and she's like, she plugged her phone into my car, and she said, "Here, listen to this. Have you ever heard this David Guetta song before?" And I'm like, "No." So she starts playing it, and it's this girl singing and whatnot.
Oh yes, C has 2 collaborations with him as well.
Well, and I didn't know this,
Yeah.
and so I'm hearing this, and I'm like, "Oh, this sounds like the girl that did Foxes, or one of those, singers that all the typical songs, all the typical hooks." As I started listening more and more, I'm like, "Man, this girl sounds like Sia," and she's like, "I know, it is Sia," and I'm like, "Are you serious?" She's like, "Yeah," like I couldn't believe when I heard it, and I'm like, "Wow."
Was it
but
Whispers?
I have no idea what song it was. I was driving, but I think it was interesting, because I was able to identify after listening, like, this was somebody that had a really good voice and was a good singer, not knowing that it was Sia all along.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that she's just one of those types of artists where she's just got it.
She's got that it factor, and also she has something to say.
Yeah.
And you should really, 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 as a listener, just take the time to pay attention.
Waiting for daylight. Bang my head against the wall. Though if I'm lightheaded now, I know I will not. It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. You come along.
Speaking of top 40, one of the songs that I've just crushed, and I've probably listened to it way too much now, but that Wiz Khalifa and Chris something song,
See You Again.
See You Again. You know what I'm talking about? You've seen it? You've heard it?
I've seen it again. I can say I discovered this song this week, and
Yeah.
just a bit of backgrounder. I recently lost my dog. Rest in peace, Ruckus. About a year ago.
Yeah.
And when I listened to this song, all I could think about was
What's that?
the passing of my friend.
Yeah.
And I've been playing this song on repeat.
Oh, I'm actually getting
A call right now.
a FaceTime from your wife.
Oh, can I?
And look, it's on all the devices. Come here.
Is it really?
Yeah. Look. That's hilarious.
Holy. Several minutes later.
Au revoir.
I don't have anything in my headphones.
Is your cable plugged in?
Probably not.
Check the cable. Probably came unplugged. Did it come unplugged?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Do you get it in both ears?
Yep, both ears.
All right.
Yeah, so we were just talking about the latest single off of the Furious 7 soundtrack.
Yeah. And you were saying that you've been listening to it on repeat.
Yeah, See You Again, Wiz Khalifa featuring Charlie Puth. Can you pull up the
Charlie
Puth?
Punt?
Just so we get that correct. I feel like it's Puth.
And who is this guy too? Like, where did he come from all of a sudden? Like,
Well,
all of a sudden,
again, he's an affordable
Puth.
He's an affordable singer that they can put on the hook, right?
Gotcha. So he's one of those guys. Just insert here, and then away you go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, first off, tell me, what is it that strikes a chord with you on this song?
This is the really neat thing, because it's cool to hear you talk about how you listen to it and you think about Rukis, and it really hits home for you. And it's funny that you say that, because when you listen to a song like that, I could totally see how that would relate. But I listen to that song and I think about Paul Walker, and because and they say that song was about him, and whether or not it was actually written for him, who knows. But long story short, I only know about that song because when I watched the end of the Fast and the Furious movie, Fast 7, that was the song that they played right at the end during the emotional sort of conclusion. And I just remember being in the theater like, oh my god, like, could they have picked any more perfect of a song? Like, not really listening to exactly what the lyrics are saying, but they talk about see you again and last ride and this and that, and like all the stuff that's so it's just so perfect. But then the music was good, and then even just the the singing and all that kind of stuff, like it was just very musically catchy. When I heard that song, and actually when I saw that movie, that movie put me in a funk for days.
Really?
And that song
I haven't
supported that.
I haven't seen the movie myself, but did they play it throughout the song, or did they kind of save it for the last montage?
It was the last montage, and it was a very emotional montage. And it was a scene that was put together using Paul Walker's brothers, who looked just like him, to conclude that chapter of. I don't know if it's safe to say the franchise is over, or what they're doing with it. Actually, I don't think it is over.
No, Furious 8. I think they just
keep saying
announced a release date.
Fate.
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 Yeah.
It's Fate. I don't know if you know this, but that movie is close. At least last time I heard, it was close to doing $1 billion worldwide.
Yeah, so it's safe to say that this franchise is far from over.
$1 billion, like $1 billion. Think about this.
Well, you put it in the category of Jurassic Park and Avatar and The Dark Knight.
Yeah, and it's
you don't think a franchise based around cars would be up there with grossing $1 million globally, but they've done the smart thing of turning this into a car franchise from a car franchise to a heist movie.
And
right?
it's unreal, because for me, I have been a die-hard Fast and the Furious fan all my life, all through the years of the movies. I've seen
all 7 movies.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I know a lot of people like that, but I mean, I've seen every single one of the movies in theaters. I own them all, and obviously, like, I love the cars. I had that crappy Sunfire that I made all Fast and the Furious like.
I remember those LED lights on it.
Yeah, well, I used to watch those movies and go, how do I get my car to look like that? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And,
so it's definitely inspired you.
Yeah, I mean, it was beyond inspirational. I mean, those movies were a part of me. Like, I remember seeing that first movie in like grade 9. I was in grade 9 when the first Fast and the Furious movie came out, and like, that movie floored me. Like, it turned my life upside down. I wanted to be a racer so bad, like I wanted to be Paul Walker in the Fast and Furious. I wanted to be Brian O'Connor, I think is what his name was. And like, I remember all of my friends, we all went and saw this movie, and we were just all diehards, and like, just the whole vibe and atmosphere of the world changed, because you started seeing all these cars appear now. Like, it became such a cool culture because of that movie. And they even talked about it on the news, because street racing went up, and that whole culture just skyrocketed. And and it became one of those things that the franchise at one point was kind of a joke, like, oh, another Fast and the Furious movie, like, when they came out with the second one, it was not a great follow-up, but it was an okay movie. And then the one following that, didn't have Paul Walker or any of the original cast whatsoever. It was sort of its own thing. But it was when they decided to bring back the fourth and the fifth movies, and they really continued to push through the franchise, bringing back the original cast, that's when it really came to. That's when it really came together, was as being like, wow, this is an awesome chemistry. This is an awesome group of people working together here. This cast works so well together. These movies are interesting. They're and it just got so much more serious and so much better once that happened, and then they just kept on punching them out, and then they grew their fan base. I mean, that right there is, I mean, it's inspirational and from the sense that, here's a franchise that just kept on pushing through it, and now look at them, like it's huge.
Absolutely.
It's huge. I mean, this movie isn't an Avatar. It's not an Avatar director. I mean, this guy's done nothing but like horror movies up until this point. You know what I'm saying? He's done like
Justin did Insidious. And
yeah, like, I mean, he
comes
he's
from the
that
horror
type
genre.
of yeah.
He's Justin Lin. He's jumped ship, and he's directing the next Star Trek
Are you
movie.
serious? So you don't have to get blinded by lights shining into the lens?
That's correct. No lens flares.
No freaking. Honestly, like, how in the hell does J.J. Abrams direct Star Trek and Star Wars movies?
Are we gonna get into this?
You know what? So are you
At
telling
some
me?
point, we're gonna.
Are
have
you
to.
telling me that in this podcast we can't talk about this type of thing because it's a music podcast? Are you kidding? It can't just be a music podcast. There's just no way. Which unfortunately might mean for some people it's not worth listening to, but I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna say, just to conclude this sidebar, I for one am glad that J.J. Abrams has jump shipped and
Isn't continuing with the Star
isn't
Trek?
continuing, because
Yeah, it was horrible. That last movie
Into Darkness was an abomination.
Oh
That was
my
not
God.
Again, visually he can craft a good movie,
Yeah.
but in terms of storytelling and
Peter Weller,
staying
though,
to the essence of what.
got to give a
Star
shout
Trek
out
is.
to Peter Weller.
Yeah, RoboCop.
That was sweet. That was sweet. I was expecting him to put on the suit the entire movie. I'm like, when's he going to make the appearance? Where's he going to bust out and start kicking ass as RoboCop? But he's still got it, that Peter Weller. He's a good actor, that guy. Going back, though, this is the problem with us, and that we get so sidetracked that that's how these conversations, like the fact that you have a list of topics to talk about.
And we
The reality is we could pick
touch
one
on two.
topic and just that would be the podcast,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, absolutely.
That song, so just with everything that happened to Paul Walker, I was really upset about it when it happened. It's funny because like I am upset about somebody that I don't know, and that's weird. But the reality is that I watched those movies so much, and it was like losing a part of like my childhood, right there. Seeing him go, like, hearing about his death, it was like, I want to be in my 40s taking my kids to see the Fast movies. Like, I just felt like I was losing that there. And then, obviously with the end of this movie, watching the way that they, sort of played the character off, not, I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but
Spoiler alert.
Yeah,
We
well, no,
gotta put it in.
I mean, they didn't kill him off, which I just thought was amazing.
Right.
Do you care if I talk about this?
No,
'Cause you don't even watch these movies.
No, but I've seen the music video, so
Yeah.
I'm
So,
pretty
yeah,
sure I saw the final scene.
That was the end, basically, and so that whole music video was a huge spoiler. But it was really sad. I mean, it's just it's so unfortunate what happened to him, and that song, it was great. I mean, it's a really good sad tune.
No, and it really is. And I think, first off, I gotta say that I am a sucker for farewell songs, goodbye songs.
Yeah.
Starting with, with Biggie's passing, we'll always love Big Papa and Cry On by 112. Shout out to 112.
What about I'll Be Missing You?
Oh, and I'll Be Missing You. How could I forget
Come on,
that?
that's
I
the
think
song.
that's
Are
the
you kidding me?
pivotal goodbye song to a friend. And I think this song is right up there, and it shares the company of those goodbye songs.
I would say that's safe to say, and I mean, that song's blowing up huge. I literally walked into Best Buy today, and they were playing that song.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, it was on the radio.
That's great for Wiz Khalifa to get that kind of exposure, but it really was heartfelt. I will say that I've always been a fan, not of the franchise, but of the soundtracks of the Fast and the Furious.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
They've always had, great soundtracks, and for this one, it just feels especially poignant. And then when I saw the video for "See You Again," I thought it was a very tasteful send off to Paul Walker, and that final scene where they that inclusion of him exiting off into the sunset. I thought what a wonderful send off, and what a wonderful way to incorporate the use of cars into his passing.
Yeah, it was really well done.
It was great.
When I was in the theater, like,
I was moved, and I don't even like. I don't even watch this.
Oh, I know, but
follow the franchise.
I basically couldn't talk after the movie was done because I was gonna start crying. Like, it just made me so emotional, and Andrea was emotional too. She teared up. I knew that the end of the movie was going to be sad because one of our close friends actually said that she went and saw the movie and that she bawled her eyes out at the end of the movie. So, it was, I can't say enough about how perfect that ending was. And, it's and that's that. And the song, like the pairing with that song was just, it was just so well done. That's all I can say.
Yeah, the pairing of the song with the images put on screen, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Mm-hmm. Now, I guess now is as good a time as any to probably
conclude the podcast. Already do that. Okay.
Just a reminder, any copyrighted music or programming reproduced during this broadcast remains the sole property of the respective owners and was used for commentary purposes only. Additional music was provided by Bensound and can be found at www.bensound.com. On behalf of Mike and myself, thank you so much for tuning in. Until we meet again, so long everyone.